We are officially live. Welcome, guys, to your EXP Luxury Members Mastermind Workshop. We host these. These are the ones that happen every month, right? The second week of every month. This is just for you guys, to come in and ask questions and also hear about from our panelists as well as, people are doing this and working it. And so feel free to just take notes and enjoy, but also feel free to interact and engage and ask questions at the end. I'm going to go ahead. I've got three people with me today, guys. These are rock stars that I truly honor and cherish the friendships, guys. These are rock stars in their own words. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, Lisa, start with Lisa. Who are you, Lisa? And then I'm going to go around the horn.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And thank you, Janie. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Your time is incredibly valuable. I hope, but I know you will get some real value out of today's session for sure. So my name is Lisa Parento. I'm a realtor on beautiful Cape Cod in Massachusetts, serving that area as well as the South Shore and South Coast of Boston. A serial volunteer here at eXp Realty, one of your luxury ambassadors. I also serve as the vice chair of the National AAC. But most importantly, I am grandma to my 4-year-old granddaughter, Eloise Ann. So that is my very favorite role. Thank you again.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Noe.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back. It's been a couple of months for me. Noe in Dallas, the center of the country. Really enjoyed the way that eXp Luxury has been growing. And there's going to be so much value today. It's going to be super exciting. So thank you, Janie.
Love it. All right. And last but not least, Janie.
Hello. So my name is Janie Coffey. I am in downtown historic St. Augustine. I'm a 15th generation St. Augustinian dating back to the 1500s, which is pretty cool and pretty fun. And I am also the co-chair of the luxury division. So here to help you guys navigate all the changes going on, squeeze every drop out of the luxury division that eXp has created for you, and really use everything to succeed at the highest level possible. And today, our whole training is how to make an amazing buyer consultation, because we are having some shifts coming up. And so what we're going to do now is about the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes of this, maybe 20 minutes, I'm going to go really quickly through kind of a buyer consult process, like the things that you should incorporate into your buyer consultations. Then we're going to have Noe and Lisa and Jeremy give some real life practical examples of what they are doing now already to adjust with these changes. And some of you are in states that maybe it's not a big adjustment. Some of us are in states that's going to be a very big adjustment. And then at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. So if that sounds good with you guys, and then Jeremy is going to share, like he said, that awesome tool that we just got approved for you guys to use. Get my screen a little bit, like Jeremy's saying, it's so many things. When you're presenting on Zoom, I think I need one of those like matrix level giant.
Get a little golf outfit on and go have some fun.
I think somebody needs to mute.
Let me try to mute everybody real quick.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Cool. So like I said, I'm going to go really fast, try to blow through this in about 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll open it up from there. And then we'll take Q&A at the end. So today's thing is really about crafting an amazing luxury buyer offering. And what we mean by that is, even if you're in a state where you were using buyer broker agreements, a lot of times you weren't doing like a big dog and pony show like you would with a listing appointment. If you're going on a luxury listing appointment, you are doing all the things. You're doing like detailed, beautiful CMAs, amazing, beautiful listing presentations. Maybe you're having those hard bound, you're putting them in boxes, really looks nice and special. Taking all your goodies and everything like that, and you're going in like going to battle to your listing and presentation. But we weren't doing that so much in the past. And if you're in a state like I am in Florida, where we traditionally don't see buyer broker agreements, we weren't doing that at all. And what we've seen the last 5 or 10 years is a lot of people just willing to like up willy-nilly run because somebody that they've never met pushed a button on Zillow or something else, take a tour. And like, sure. and they're like leaving their children's soccer
Recording in
practice,
progress.
all these things, running just to open the door to somebody, hoping and praying they're going to build some kind of relationship with that buyer that they're going to then see their value and stick with them through closing. So these changes, as much as I don't agree with a lot of the changes, and I'm very open about that, I do think this particular change about having to slow down and have a conversation with the buyer in the beginning before you show a practice is actually a really, really good thing. And I think it's really going to help elevate our whole entire industry. Because if you've been in real estate long enough, it was different before. Everybody was operating at a very high level. And it's only been with the Zillows of the world that have kind of driven down a lot of that. And unfortunately, it hurt us in the eyes of the consumers as well. And so this is our opportunity to regain our strength, regain our story. Lisa talks a lot about, telling your own story and crafting your own story. So we're going to do that as buyer's agents. And also, please also remember, it's not always about convincing somebody of something. It's also about casting a wide enough net that you are getting in front of enough buyer prospects, that you are having enough conversations with buyer prospects, that the right people who appreciate, respect, and want to work with you are signing your agreements. So I point that out because a lot of times I talk to people and they're like wanting to convince somebody, and that person is like convinced that they can DIY it. We don't want to convince them. They're not our best people. We want the people who are looking for us. So just keep that in mind through our whole kind of presentation here. So what we're going to talk about is preparing to excel in a post-NAR settlement world. And it doesn't matter. I know a lot of people say, well, but wait, they haven't approved the settlement. In my mind, it doesn't matter because the horse is out of the barn. And what I mean by that, in my area, and I've talked to a bunch of you, in your area, you are starting to see offers of zero compensation from the seller. I don't think that's going to be the standard. I think that things, when they all sift out, will probably be very similar to how they have been for the past 100 years. But we are going to see more and more sellers, some with zero offer of compensation or concessions or whatever, to the buyer's agent. And if you haven't had the conversation with buyers about how you're going to handle that together before that comes up, it makes for a very awkward conversation. Thankfully, by July, you will have to have had that conversation with the buyers. But right now, I would already get in practice of that so that when you do come across something like that, you're already, you guys have already created together your action plan if that were to happen. And a lot of it is also building that connection again. Like we build good connections with our sellers, right? We see them when we go into the showings. We see them at the listing appointment. We're giving them updates. But a lot of times we haven't slowed down to build a connection with our buyers. And this gives us the opportunity to do that so that they become excited to work with us. They understand the value that we bring. And most importantly, they feel like we have their back, right? Because buying a property at any price point, but especially the higher price points, can be time consuming. If they're coming from another area, they might not understand a lot of things, or they might not have the time or the wherewithal to do some of the legwork. So them knowing that they have a seasoned professional person in their ring, in their corner of the ring to have their back, can be very, very comforting. And so that's part of what we want to convey with the buyer presentation. And convincing them, or not convincing them, but explaining what we actually do, because a lot of people don't even actually understand everything we do, and why we're worth it to them, not why we think we're worth it. It doesn't matter why we think we're worth it. They need to understand why we're worth it to them. Why is it worth signing a buyer broker agreement with a buyer's agent, especially in this post-NAR settlement kind of world? So we're going to be talking about presenting an extraordinary value proposition. And like I said, we typically haven't had to talk about this that much, but I'm really excited we're going to. And they're going to understand that we're not just door openers. We're not just searchers. And we're not just offer writers. We do so much more. Again, holding them in peace and comfort and safety all along the way. It's easier in my mind to also have these conversations with luxury buyers versus bread and butter buyers, because luxury buyers value their own time more. They're not out there trying to DIY it, because their time doing whatever it is that allows them to buy luxury homes is worth so much more than the professional fee that they're going to pay us. So A, they value their own time more. B, they value professionals in every aspect of their world. They're dealing with professional CPAs. They're not doing TurboTax. They're not doing trading by themselves. They have financial planners. They have estate planners. They have all that. They're used to dealing with professionals. They're willing to pay for professionals because that's what they have in all the rest of their lives. And C, when you're dealing with luxury buyers, the finances needed to pay a luxury buyer in the event that the seller is not offering concessions is normally not going to be a problem, like it might be in a bread and butter property where a buyer could come up against the potential of having to work with a buyer's agent or not because the seller isn't paying and they don't have the extra funds. So it's a little bit easier in the higher price points. But it, like I said, it's important to convey all that we do, and that's what your consultation is going to do. We help protect them. We help negotiate for them. We help them search also off market, especially here at EXP, where we have access to Zenlist. And if we can all start using Zenlist more and more, that gives us a real edge. We help with the inspections process through our specific knowledge to our area. And then, of course, we or our TC team helps hold the deal together, contract to close. Most important is that we offer 5-star concierge buyer service so that they really do see that we are saving them time and we are saving them money by working with them. These are the things we're going to discuss real fast. We can share this slide deck with you when Jeremy puts out the recording of this. He can just drop a link to this slide deck to you as well. But we're going to talk about these things real fast, and then we'll get to the Q&A. If at all possible, meeting with the people in person, just like you would with a listing appointment. Treat it from going forward no different than a listing appointment. When you have a listing appointment, you make an appointment, you prepare your materials, you put your materials together, real materials, and you go and meet in person and you explain how you help them sell. So it's the same thing. Now you're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to explain how you help them buy. If, of course, they're not local and they can't, then do a Zoom. But don't just send them things. You would never just send your listing presentation over. You don't do that. You have a conversation so that you can understand what's important to them. And then you can share how you can help them achieve that together. I would also start to think about preparing like a little goodie bag or a bag of swag. I saw one of our fellow agents creates a nice VIP card that she gives her buyers so that if they happen to go to an open house or a builder or something, they can show it. It's kind of like a buyer passport. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about finances. It is especially important at the higher price point to make sure they're pre-approved, or if they're not getting a loan, that they have pulled together their proof of funds. We can't wait and explain to them why you can't, but you can't wait to do that when you found a property you love, explaining that. Then you're going to go over all the other aspects of cash needed to close, whether it's the typical binder deposits in your area or escrow deposits, inspections, specialty inspections they might expect. And if they're new to the area, you're going to also be discussing insurance in your area. You're going to be discussing property tax in your area. Here where I am, I'm in a homestead state. So a lot of times people are blown away how high our property taxes are when they're first moving here. But our property taxes only increase no more than 3% every year going forward. So in 5 or 10 years, they're like really, really happy about it. And we have also a lot higher insurance because I'm right at the coast. People coming from other parts of the country, it's different where they are. So having those conversations. Also, now's the time to discuss wire fraud and why they need to call the title company before sending any money in. And having these conversations so they start to think, oh, there's a lot more out there to buying a house than I remember, or than in my area, or wherever it is. Just having the conversations, that's when they start to really understand the value that we bring. Then we're going to talk about the search, their hopes, their dreams, their wants, their needs. We're going to break down the different neighborhoods and the different areas and communities and hone in on 2 or 3 max. And then we're going to say, we're in partnership, but you're likely going to find properties before I do, because this is like your one main thing. So if you find something, this is how you send it to me, and this is how I entered into your portal, or however it is you share back with them. Same thing. If they come across an open house, if they come across a builder, show home, you're going to say, this is what you do in that circumstance. They understand that they're partners with you. You are partners with them. You're not just a door opener, you're partners with them. You're going to talk with them about how the buyer tour typically goes in your area. So in my area, I like to remind them people are stepping out of their homes, maybe getting their pets out of the homes, or their elderly or their children out of the homes, so that we can see it. So it's important that we stay on schedule. So just having whatever conversations are important for your area. We're going to talk about the importance of giving feedback to the listing agent if that's something done in your area. And then, like I said, talk about Zenlist and our network at EXP and EXP Luxury, how we might have access to properties nobody else has access to. We'll reiterate how we're in partnership. We're in partnership through the search, how I'm going to help them craft an offer that is an irresistible offer. We're going to talk about the contract to close process. Like, what does that mean? What are the timeframes typical here in my area? I think somebody's not on mute, by the way. When is their binders due? How I'm going to help them not miss the timeline so that they don't lose their binder deposit because they messed up a deadline. And then what they can expect post-close, so that they know, like, I'm here to help them through the whole thing, including after closing, to make sure that things go really, really well for them. If I have a bevy of contractors or inspectors in my pocket that I can help them with, I'm going to share that too. Not who they are, but that I have that, again, to help them because I'm their concierge. Then we're going to talk about expectations of the current market, because if they're just watching national news, they might have one idea of what the market is, buyer market or seller market, that is totally different than your specific area that you serve. You can pull that down off of RPR, a really good visual display if you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market, and explain what that means to them so that they understand when it goes to make an offer. If you're in a strong seller's market, you better make strong offers. If you're in a buyer's market, then you can kind of negotiate and finesse it a little bit more, but showing them is very helpful. Explain to them the likely condition of homes and how the typical concessions and negotiations go in your area. I sell a lot of historic homes, and I run across so many buyer's agents that's never explained to their buyers from out of town that historic homes are normally in a very different condition than a brand new home. So what happens? We have inspections and the buyers have a meltdown because their buyer's agent did not tee them up to what to expect. So whatever it is in your area, warn them, give them the right expectation so everything is smooth. Oh yeah, you told me that almost every home probably had termites in the last 150 years. I'm not going to freak out that I see termite damage that was probably 75 years ago, that kind of thing. And then also discuss with them the stats, like days on market, list to sales price ratio averages, just so that they have the mindset and not their Uncle Vinny over here telling them how they should run their offer. Like, there's nothing worse than that. And then you can have the conversation about the benefits of working with an agent versus DIYing it. And of course, you might tell already from the start of the conversation that these are people who do value their time, and they do understand from the beginning the importance of working with an agent, but sometimes you need to have that conversation. Your main goal for them when they're working with an agent is you save them time and you save them money because of your knowledge, because of your negotiation skills. You can help them search off market. You might have specialized knowledge about certain properties, certain listing agents. Don't you all know a few listing agents you know that you can run circles around, things like that. Also, you might have specialty contractors that you can bring in if that comes up. And what I would do is think of all the different types of turbulence you might go through in your specific area And you may or may not share that list with them, but having that, for example, in my area, a lot of agents don't suggest to their buyers to get sewer scope inspections because it's not part of the general inspection. But if a sewer line has been compromised by tree roots, that could be a $10,000 to $15,000 ticket. And it's not something that comes up on normal inspections. Or another, if they DIY it, they might not know to have a municipal lien search pulled, where they might find there's $50,000 of rolling fines on the property, and they don't even get that until after closing. So think of all the things in your area that might have the potential of coming up, that if they're not working with a skilled, seasoned buyer's agent, they might not know what they don't know. So just sharing that with them, not to scare them. We don't want to use scare tactics, but that. Then you have to broach the conversation. You know, I'm sure you've heard of it in the news about the settlement that's coming up and what that means. All that means is that the buyer's agent commission is now no longer going to be in our MLS come July. It's still very likely that a seller is going to offer some kind of concessions, but I cannot show you property starting July without having some kind of an agreement in place. Now, the seller very likely is offering concessions that is going to cover the commission that we've agreed to, but there's going to be a possibility that they don't. And then we can write the offer back to them where we're writing my commission in, and we explain that to the listing agent, we explain that to the seller. Or there's going to be a possibility that we run across a property that's offering
Honestly,
zero.
other than covering what you just said, I don't know what else. Hold on.
Okay, you know, we're going to potentially run into a scenario where the seller is offering zero concessions, zero. How do you want to handle that? I, of course, need to be paid, so we need to find out plan B in that eventuality so that we are not the one not showing a property because of commission. We are in partnership with them. We've already discussed it, and we have a game plan going forward. And then at the end of your conversation, I would show them and kind of walk through the basic forms in your area, the basic purchase agreement, time frames to expect, outs if they have an out, how inspections are handled, what's kind of the going concessions that sellers are willing to give and not willing to give, and show them how all of that is on the purchase agreement. If there's any addenda that you normally bring along as part of, maybe it's an HOA addenda, lead-based paint addenda, historic district disclosure, whatever it is, so that they're already familiar with that. And then, of course, bring out the EBBA, the exclusive buyer broker agreement, or whatever it's called in your state. I would start doing this consultation with every buyer going forward right now, so that you become very comfortable with the conversation. You become comfortable with what they might say back to you and how you answer it. What you can say right now, if you're not used to using buyer broker agreements, is, or your state doesn't use them, you might say, okay, we can date through one showing or 1 day's worth of showing. But at the end of that, then we're going to have to, you know, circle back, because this is my full-time profession and I do need to make sure that I'm going to be compensated. There's many ways we can get compensated, that it doesn't mean cash out of your pocket, but we have to talk through these things because things are changing. And I want you guys to get really, really good and really comfortable. One, that you are worth it. Like, you have to truly believe that the value that you bring to the table. You're not just a door opener. You're not just an offer writer. You are truly a valued professional, saving them time and money in the process. And so that by the time July rolls around, you are going to be so comfortable with this process, it's going to be a complete no-brainer. So that's kind of my quick, not so quick, or quick enough presentation of the structure of a buyer consultation. And like I said, Jeremy has something to show you, and then Lisa and Noe are going to share with us what they do, and then we'll open it up for Q&A.
Very good stuff, Janie. Thank you so much for that. So I want to show you guys, before we get into any kind of discussion, I'm going to show you guys the tools and resources you have. Let me put me on the screen. Tools and resources you have now available to you as of right now. You can go to your luxury dashboard. I'm going to go share my screen with you to show you what you're going to, how you're going to access it. And then I'm going to show you exactly what you're getting. So let me share this screen with you guys. Share. Hopefully you guys see, do you see the dashboard? Hopefully. All right, love it. And so from the dashboard, guys, once you log in, if you want to go to the left-hand side and you want to go over to Design Center, Design Center is your one-stop shop luxury design place for all your listings, all your promotional pieces, your social media graphics, all that good stuff is all going to be in here. If you haven't visited in a while, you'll see little, I think they're, let's see what color, blue, little blue marks over here that shows exactly what new, right? New things are happening. And so you can click on those and see all the new stuff. But check out right here. If you go down a little bit, it says Luxury EXP Luxury Buyer's Guide. And then underneath that, it says EXP Luxury Buyer's Guide. And that is the new piece for you guys right there. It is 20-some pages, all customized to you. So all you do is hit Create Design. I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Design to show you. And I'm going to pull up the final while that still loads. Here it is. This is the final piece. And so I'm just kind of scroll through, give you kind of a little preview of it. Nice little table of contents with it. World-class marketing, top dollars. This is all editable. I mean, you could drag your photos in, change your photo up, whatever you want to do there. Bring it down a little bit. Obviously, she got her head cut off. I'd bring that down slightly. And then if you keep on scrolling down here, it has buyers, sellers, has a great place for your testimonies, which, by the way, I hope you guys know this. I'm an SEO kind of guy. So the third most visited page on any agent's website is typically their testimonials. So be sure to add that in here. Put that clout in here on the third page here. Keep on going. Nice little achievements graphics. I love the fact that you can highlight your achievements here. You could change that any way you want. You can even add notable transactions. If you have some notable transactions in the area, I'd love for you to highlight those, right? People love to see that. Been there, done that kind of feel. And then I'm just going to kind of scroll through this, guys. It is beautiful. Very well done. I would highly recommend taking one of these, customize them, and have it printed off in some nice cardstock. I would do cardstock, nice little glossy covers, make it feel really good, right? And then maybe take these around with you. I would have one of these on my hands at all times. Every time I'm with a buyer, every time I'm with a seller, I have this all with me all the time because it's impressive. And very rarely do you find agents that walk around with pieces like this that they're willing to say, hey, here you go, take it. This is a take home for you to walk away with, to showcase exactly what I do and how I stand apart from everybody else that's going to be showing. And honestly, if you ever do open houses, this stuff right here is impressive to walk away with, because you don't know how many people go to open houses and they walk away with zero with agent material. And so it kind of blows me away that this is available and is ready for you guys to go. So all you have to do, guys, I'm going to go back here to the dashboard, back to the design center. And my internet
While
is
it's
dragging
loading,
today, so it's still loading. Pops up in your design center. Oh, there you go. And once it loads up, check this out. I can click on this stuff and literally just drag these photos around. You can actually edit anything you want about this text. It's fully editable for you guys to roll with. So who loves it? Anybody love this thing? I don't know about me. Maybe it's just me. I love it.
And I was going to say, Jeremy, the other thing you can do, I believe, is you can make those pictures more relevant to your area, right? So you
Absolutely.
can make them from your own past sales or your own area so that it feels very, very, as much as you can make somebody feel like a presentation or anything that you're sharing with them is tailored to their needs, the more they're going to really connect with that. So just remember, not necessarily right out of the box, because this is clearly California imagery. It wouldn't feel like my area or Lisa's area. So just take the time to change that up.
So there's a lot of different options we're going to be adding to you guys. And if you see stuff that you want to change or you want to update or you see that kind of stuff, feel free to submit a ticket to us. Let us know, because we want this thing to be perfect for you guys. We want you guys to be able to take it and use it effectively inside your local market. And everybody's local market is different. And so it's good that you guys can go in and customize this stuff. All right. So Janie, let's talk a little about, because you brought up so many good points. Let's talk about like the presentation in general, why we should start working on updating our systems, our processes, how we do things now, because later we're going to have to need to, right? It's a have to later on.
Right. I think it's a have to.
It's a need to now. And
Yeah.
so like Noe and Lisa, I love it. Yeah, I agree with you. And so Noe and Lisa, anything you guys are working on right now in your buyer's presentation and your thought processes that is like changing the game and making things easier for you, but also adapting to what we need to adapt to?
Well, I know for
Who's
us
going
here in
first?
Texas, we've been doing it for several years. So the buyer consultation has been alive and well. And so from a luxury standpoint, Janie kind of alluded to doing a lifestyle assessment. And we generally start there, right? Just really trying to
Good.
understand, particularly because we have so many people relocating to the area, is really trying to understand is how do we match where they're coming from. But the buyer consultation, which we generally, if we do it on Zoom, we call it a discovery call, because and then it is that, right? We're learning more about them just to see if we are a match and we're going to be able to work together. And so many people just enjoy it. And I would encourage you to tape the call and then rewatch it just to see if there's anything that you might have missed during that call. And it's been a very valuable tool for me with people that are relocating to the area.
It's great. Great tip, man. I love it.
I love what Noe just said about that consultation. I call it kind of our introductory call because this, certainly for luxury buyers, alluding to let's make sure this is a good fit for both of us is very important. I mean, it really is really important, but you also can get a sense then at that point, something that we're always kind of honing in on with, as in terms of a disc analysis, what kind of a buyer are you really talking about so that you can really match your energy and your questions and your presentation to what it is that they are really, looking for. I think in general, this does not change the actual way that I'm working with clients. I just had a referral client this morning, and I'm going to get the phone call this afternoon. But you can believe today, I've already created a folder. I put in all the documents I need. I'm ready. I'm going to be, and whether I'm looking at a 600 price range or 6 million price range, I'm still doing my due diligence to understand that property, what they're looking for, and also to get a little bit of information from the referring agent about who this is. This is a nephew, right? So, no matter what, I would always anyway, but I know there's also a familial kind of a situation here. So that's hugely important. And my market is still frothy. I'm going to use that word that I used a little while ago. It's frothy. If something is coming in a desirable way and in a good condition. And the agent did what this one did, which was put it on on MLS like 3 days ago, showings held till Saturday, offers due on Tuesday.
Good.
With offer instructions, which are simply like put it all in one PDF. Don't send me something through .loop, which I thought was interesting. But she wants everything on one PDF, which is wouldn't you do that anyway? But she was, sort of outlining all of that. Make sure you have a pre-approval. It was hysterical. So I think, we have to really be as articulate as possible to our buyers always about what it's going to take. The only other thing I want to mention is follow the leaders on what's happening with NAR. Because don't kid yourself and think that your buyers and your sellers haven't heard something from somewhere, right? Whether it's the New York Times or Fox or MSNBC, like everybody's heard about this now, and they all took their 3 minutes of what they heard, and like that's the reality for them, right? So make sure you really understand where we currently are, at least in terms of what clear compensation means, what it will mean, what we're being asked to do. Just stay up to date for sure. And then I'm going to put in the chat, I'm doing a mastermind on Friday, shameless plug, but please everybody join. It's open to all agents. And we have a lot to learn from commercial agents about negotiating our buyer compensation. So I've got 2 commercial agents, one from the West Coast, one from the East Coast. Actually, Janie, you might know her. She's the DMB commercial for Florida. Her name is Brittany. So anyway, I've got a panel going on Friday at noon. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Everybody's welcome. If you can attend, you'll get the recording if you register. But just those folks have been used to dealing with this forever, as have all of our colleagues in states that have been doing it. We have not in Massachusetts. And as a referral agent, I hardly ever do. So even though I can talk to my pen, I still need to develop an elevator speech. And that's my suggestion to all of you is to work on your elevator speech about what this means in our business. So those are my
I love it. It's good stuff,
50
guys.
thoughts.
I mean, good stuff. I think that, talking about Jane, talking about Jane was talking about earlier, she talked about, getting all this information out to buyers, right? And that's hard. It is really hard when you're sitting down, having all that information out to your buyers at one time without looking like you're regurgitating all this stuff. So you have to practice it, right? You have to figure out what your plan is. I have an agent that I coach that he does an amazing job at this, and he actually built out a drip campaign strategy for his buyers. And so literally he knows if they open it or not. And so he even knows if you watch the videos that's included in the drip campaign or not. And so it goes through a lot of the samples. Like Janie mentioned, you talked about the sewer inspection. He has a video specifically on like sewer inspections and talking about, if your property needs it, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to ask for it. Like, it was a cool little deal that he has like a 16 video strategy that goes out over like 3 or 4 days. And I'm like, that's amazing. And so that's the stuff, guys, that we could probably do, right? We could pre-set up some of that stuff to, know to communicate exactly what we need to communicate, but also, we don't have to regurgitate all that into one spot, right? One, 25-minute meeting, but we know it gets accomplished. But I love the fact that those emails make it seem like, dang, this guy's on it, or this person's on it. Right. And that's what I want our buyers to feel is we are on it. This agent's got to be taken care of. He's worth his value, whatever that value is. Right. And that's the big keys. So absolutely love that, guys. Janie, do you have anything else, or you want to talk about some Q&A stuff, or I'm open to talk?
Yeah, I definitely want to open it up for Q&A. I just can't express how important it is that you start doing this now. Now, because like I said, I've already seen in my area offers of compensation of 0. I know in California, you see that even more frequently. I think 12, 18, 24 months, things are going to settle out and we're not going to see that as much because sellers are going to understand the value of offering some kind of concessions. But you don't want to be caught, even the time between now and July, you don't want to be caught not having this conversation with your buyers. They find the home of their dreams. You've not had a conversation. And then you see that the compensation is 0. And I've already seen 2 agents go through that. And once you already have the offer written and they just had to go through the whole thing. So start doing it now. Start having the conversations now. Good. Like I said, even if you want to say you're dating until you become more comfortable, but come July, you're going to have it. So you don't want to be learning how to get buyers to sign agreements when it's breathing down your neck. Do it now so you become much more comfortable. And one more thing.
Really good. So
the size of the funnel that you build is going to have a direct relation to the ease of you going through these changes. And what I mean by that, so many agents don't work hard enough building a big enough funnel. What I mean by that is people who know your name and know you're in real estate. Then the next smaller part of the funnel is people you've actually had some kind of conversation about real estate. The next conversation in our case is now buyers that you've had consultations and discovery calls with. The next ones down are the buyers who've actually signed your buyer broker agreement. The next one down is the buyers who actually go under contract. And then the smallest part of the funnel, and the funnel that we're all in this for, is the closed transactions. So agents in general who don't build a big enough funnel out of desperation work with people who are not reasonable, not nice, not prepared, not anything, and soon to be not willing to sign a buyer broker agreement. If you build a big enough funnel through your lead gen, the right people will find you, and you're not going to care about the ones not willing to sign the paperwork. Does that make sense? That is the number one thing I think we all as agents, not all of us, 90% of us struggle with. So also, while you're honing your skills in the buyer broker consultation, discovery call, introductory call, be opening up your lead gen efforts so that you have enough people so that if 50% of them don't want to sign, you're fine, because the other 50% do, and they're the good people to work with. So that's what I want to say, Jeremy.
Janie, if I can just add to this,
right? I'm not going to go too. Yeah, go ahead. No.
So you said pretty much, our opportunity as buyer agents is to show our worth, right? So when you start doing the buyer consultation, think about the experience, the overall experience that you're going to bring this buyer through. And your network is your net worth, right? So you got to start building your resources, and you got to pre-vet who you're going to do business with, because once they hire you, they get access to your resources. And the reason why that makes more sense is that you're going to have bumps down the road if they go out on their own to go find other people, which they certainly can. But if you have access already to your inspectors, to your designers, to your contractors, to your whatever, then it's available through you, right? If they hire you, they get access to the whole community, to the whole network. And I think if you present it that way and you show them, by hiring me, you get access to my whole team, however big that team becomes. And I mean, there's so many opportunities that we'll talk about later as this continues to grow. But, what do you do, post sale? There's so much of an opportunity to continue to add value, but these clients will end up becoming your friends eventually, because they're going to refer you because they had such a great experience.
Great, man. I won't get on my lead gen soapbox today because that could go a long way. But I do want to say, guys, if I was you, here's what I would do. I would go in there and customize this buyer guide, right? Go and customize it. Make sure it looks good for what you do. Go into your CRM if you have the ability to do this. Create a landing page for your luxury buyer's guide in your area, right? So luxury buyer's guide for San Francisco, whatever you want to call it. And then send that landing page link, because the landing page is going to lead to this page where they download your guide, right? And then send that landing page link out to your entire database. So excited, guys, to be the luxury agent in this blah, 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 in this area. Put in there a little bit of stats about yourself. Click here to download your area luxury buyer's guide. And literally let them click, go in there, let them download from your landing page. They see you get all their information, guys. I could probably promise you, if I sent this out to your database and I do the right wording for it, I could probably get 20 to 30, 40 people to download it, depending on how many people I'm sending it to, pretty much immediately, which then it starts conversations, and conversations lead to what? Contracts, and contracts lead to what? More money in your bank. And that's where this stuff comes in. So, all right, I won't jump too much on the lead gen, Andrew. I just gave you a really good idea that you guys should implement like ASAP to generate some leads for your area, generate leads from your sphere of influence, from your database. You have the tools now, guys. Just go out there and implement, right? All right, I won't go to soapbox today. All right, what else you got? Any other questions? Anything that you guys want to bring up in this last few minutes, guys, before we wrap it up? Would love, feel free to raise your hand. If you guys have like something you're implementing, right? If you have something you willing to share with everybody.
Yes, I have a question, and I don't know.
Oh, I found her.
Hi, Jeremy. Hey, Noe, how are you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Good. So I don't know if you guys had already covered this earlier, and I apologize. I got on the call. I was trying to adjourn one meeting and hop on here. What do you suggest for a you said the elevator pitch, right? Like how you respond back to the laws and all of this now. What do you suggest as your particular elevator pitch that we could use to kind of describe, the changes?
So Cynthia, at the beginning of this presentation, I did about a 25-minute overview on all of that. So when Jeremy sends the thing out, I think it'll give you some good talking points to explain the process and what you offer and how you help them save time and money.
I love the fact that Janie, in your picture earlier, you shared there. Basically, it's broke down to a couple different main topics, right? And I would actually have them bullet pointed out, ready for your agents. That way you know about it. Is, one, you can't list the price on the MLS, right? That's and literally just make it really plain and simple to them, guys. And to explain, hey, the news, they like to blow things up, and they do. But also look at them and say, hey, I'm an expert. This is the facts. The facts are, here's the 3 things that this thing means. And here's how we are coming around it. Here's how, we adapt to that. And that's it. And honestly, it's just my opinion. And my opinion is obviously worth about a penny sometimes. But my opinion is that, guys, make it really clean and really simple. Break it down to 2 or 3 facts and then address those and move on and do your business. At least that's my point of view. But anything else, guys?
Well, I'm not sure that's always so much about our value. I don't find, well, maybe I'm lucky, but I don't find people kind of acting like I don't like I'm not like I'm bringing value. But I also think there's a pragmatic piece of it that, depending on how many apples you're talking about, 5 or 6 or 7 in your market, hey, there's 5 apples. And here's how they've typically been divided. And so we're just looking at a redistribution of the apples. So I kind of, I'm looking at taking part of my elevator speech really about the fact that, and the big myth, the fact that realtor compensation has always been negotiable. We're just negotiating it from a different place now. So don't necessarily feel like you always have to defend. I mean, it's good to know and feel strong and feel self-confident. That will come from knowing your value. But this is a compensation conversation that's been brought up and then blown out of crazy different spaces in the media. But let's take it back to the fact that it's always been negotiable. And so we're having those negotiations a little bit more from a wider.
But I think that the difference, Lisa, is historically speaking, when we're working with buyers, we weren't really discussing that they were paying us. So that is a different conversation. And before, when the buyers knew that the compensation was coming from the seller side, they just picked a buyer's agent that they were happy with and everything like that. I think that what we do is going to come more into play for a little while. If they're themselves having to decide, am I going to go it alone? Am I going to pay somebody 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples? What is that worth to me? Especially if it means they might have to come out of pocket and add that to their closing costs and add that to their down payment. So I think we are going to go through an adjustment. I think the people at the higher price points understand that and value it, again, because they value their time more. That's the big difference. At the bread and butter price point, where they are scraping together their 5, 10, or 20% down payment and their 2 to 3 or 4% or 5% closing costs and their, reserves that they need and the closing costs that they need and the inspections and all that, to think even for a minute that they've got to also now save another 2 or 3 apples to pay for their, they might start to make decisions in their head that probably in the end is going to potentially cost them those apples. But I think that when the higher price point, it's more about them understanding how we save them money and time, and they're much more open. But I think we are going to have more of a conversation because it is, in the way it will be presented come July, a conversation with the buyer paying us. They can use the concessions the seller is offering to pay us. But I think we just need to be prepared for a little bit more conversation around that than we were used to on the buy side. On the buy side.
Yeah, I think definitely that's the key is they're gonna ask. It's somebody at some point in time is gonna ask, right? And you just got to make sure you're ready. Like Cynthia mentioned, we got to be sure we're prepared for that. And thank you so much for that question, Cynthia. I really appreciate it. I saw another one come in that says, if the MLS will no longer allow commission percentage on the MLS sheet, what do you suggest the process for obtaining the amount, if any, for the buyer commission from the seller? Just call the listing agent?
I think
What's
it's
your
part of that list that we have now when we call the listing agent. Can you tell me the age of the roof, windows, and the mechanicals? Do you have
Good.
do you have an offer deadline? What is being offered for broker compensation? I think I hope we're calling them anyway to introduce ourselves and to find out about the property before we really, get our buyers too deeply into it, because they're looking for Pottery Barn, pillows, and we are the ones looking at the roof and the things in the basement, right? So it's got to have to be another conversation that I think they've been having for a while in some markets too. I would also recommend, if you haven't taken that ABR class, that will also give you some more self-confidence about your compensation.
Good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And Janice, remember, come July, you will have a buyer broker agreement in place with your buyer before you show them, with a percent or a fixed number or whatever you've worked out with them on there. And what I think we're going to see, and this remains to be fleshed out, but I think we're going to see the sellers are no longer, or the listing agents no longer going to say, we're offering 2.5 apples, we're offering 3 apples. I think we're going to see something like, we are offering X% in concessions, or X dollar amount in concessions. And then it's up to the buyer and the buyer's agents how they use those concessions. Because one of the things that this lawsuit was about was that offering of commissions from us. That's why they don't want it to even go on a third-party site. So it's really going to come down to us, buyers agents, with our buyers agreeing on some way we're going to get paid, and then using the concessions offered. That's what I think it's going to shake out to. I don't think we're going to see just the hidden percentage, but it's still out there. I think it's going to be a little bit different. It all remains to be seen, but I've spent the last month like getting a PhD in this thing. So, I literally put all my free time into understanding the settlement, and I think that's what's going to happen. Because that's the whole thing. The DOJ did not want the seller and the listing agent determining what the buyer's agent could pay, because maybe that buyer's agent would have accepted 2 apples, but now the seller was offering 3, which meant the seller paid 1% more or an apple more than that buyer's agent would have accepted. By putting it all squarely on the buyer, that's how they feel. Again, I don't like this settlement. I think it was very sloppy. I think it was written in a way that does not protect buyers in many ways and does not protect sellers in many ways, but we've got to deal with what we've got to deal with. And that's what I think is going to happen. There's going to be a pot of concessions, and the buyer's agents will determine how they work that out.
I agree. It's good stuff. Go ahead. Go, Lisa. Go for it.
All right, 2 more quick things to throw in. One is when you are negotiating those, and this is what we have learned, what we believe up till now, you can never increase your commission based on that buyer broker agreement. You can only reduce it. So if you would like to consider 3 apples, you can't start at 2.5 apples and then go up to 3 apples, depending on, what the heck's going on. So just one, put that back in the toaster. And the other is, trust me, the National Association of Realtors, Realtor Political Action Committee is on this with VA, with Freddie, with Fannie, with all the lenders in every way possible. So it's another little pitch for considering, at least for your fair share, for your RPAC investment. Thank you. My public service announcement for RPAC.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I love that. Some people mention that they love the word concessions. Those are definitely words, guys, that's going to resonate, and you're going to start seeing those words a lot more often. And I've already seen those words used a lot more often because of this lawsuit and what things have happened. And those are the words we're going to pick up on, right? We're going to have to add that to our vocabulary and just make sure we understand what it means and clearly communicate exactly what that is in all of our pieces and all of our documents and all of our, marketing material, whatever we got, right? It's time to update. And updating things is not a bad thing, guys. Yes, does it take a little bit of work? Yes, but we're not agents in it for the short run. We're in here for the long run. And so we update the stuff now. You're going to use it 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And that's just what I feel about it. All right, guys, so much good stuff, guys. So much. What a great workshop. I'm looking to see if there's any big questions. Oh, Lisa, would you repeat the course you mentioned earlier? What course did you mention?
Assistant put something in. Would you put that back in here? Oh, here, I'll just put this part in. Yeah, it's Friday, open to everybody.
ABR. Didn't you say something like that?
Oh, the ABR class. Yeah, so the accredited buyer representative, that is being offered, not the designation that you would then pay for, but the course itself is being offered for free from NAR, as well as many associations are offering it for free. I know mine is. So it is an amazing course. I had the good fortune of taking it really early on in my career, and it just makes you sit up a little straighter and realize that, you do have so much more, have so much value, and you need to say, hey, I mean, your dentist is not out negotiating, any other service professional has their rate, and everyone respects that. So we just need to take control of that process, and we are control freaks. So for the most part, excuse me. So it's a good time to lean into that.
Love it. Guys, it's been a awesome workshop. Thank you so much. Noe, he had to step away. Lisa, Janie, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for providing content and information on this topic. I think that, as long as we are still agents that want to keep learning and keep growing and keep, keeping your finger on the pulse, you guys are going to be rock stars. I promise you, you guys are going to push through this thing. Whatever happens, you're going to, land some good listings and land some good buyers and just keep pushing forward. So great session, guys. Thank you so much. I'll send the recording out to everybody. I will get Janie's slides and I will try to include those with that as well. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all so
Janie,
much. You guys have a
Thank you
great
so much. You've done
No,
so much.
thank you
Thank
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
See y'all. Have a good one.